what was I thinking reading this book in a nail salon? So that's a thing that I have read in my life at this point. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the one. Hi friends, welcome. My name is Baron, and this is my channel where I talk about some book stuff. I'm the Book Baron. Welcome in. So today, I'm venturing into the land of monster smashing. I'm talking about monster romances. So this is a genre that I have actually never read from before, but it's spooky season, and I think there's like a readathon going on, so I've been seeing a lot of monster romances floating around on Instagram. Although I'm not participating in the readathon necessarily, I want in on the action. I want to know what this genre is about. The closest thing that I've probably read to this genre is Ice Planet Barbarians. I have a feeling something similar is going to happen with the genre that happened with that series, which is initially I was like, no, very judgmental about it. And then Ice Planet Barbarians I ended up really liking. So I'm hoping that something similar kind of happens here, because I have a lot of hesitation going into this, especially regarding one book that I'm planning to read, Send Prayers. I am picking some very popular monster romances with the hope I'm giving this genre the best possible shot at succeeding and wowing me. First up is one that I don't know if I can make eye contact with you while I say it. The first one I'm going to be reading is Morning Glory Milking Farm by C.M. Nacosta. Okay, that's fine. I love the new cover of this. I remember seeing the original one and being like, not interested. This one I don't know that much about. I think it's about a gal that's kind of hard up on her luck, and she ends up taking a job at a milking farm, and she ends up falling in love with one of her subjects, who's a minotaur. I think that's what I've heard. Next up, I have The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. I don't know anything in particular about this book, but I've read a ton of her Dark Olympus series. And then finally, one that I kept seeing come up on Instagram with the Monster Mash, Tentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett. I don't know anything about this book truly at all. I'm guessing it involves tentacles and triathlons. That's my guess. That's what I'm planning to read. I'm hoping to get to Morning Glory Milking Farm first. I will check in with you in a little bit. I'm going to be going to a nail appointment because look at these horrific babies. Look at that growth. We're going to go get those bad boys fixed, and I'll probably get a good chunk of reading done there. I'll check in a little bit and let you know how that book's going. I'm very, very nervous, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. See you in a bit. Hi. So I'm back from my nail appointment, but we've got some weird lighting, so I'm doing a very casual lean. Does it feel casual? It doesn't for me. Okay, so good news. My nails are better. They're chrome now. Aren't these fun? So that's good. What's bad is I didn't expect it to be this explicit. Like, what was I thinking reading this book in a nail salon? Like, I mean, I know what I was thinking. I didn't think it was going to be this explicit this frequently. I knew where she was working would be a big part of this, right? The whole, like, milking of minotaurs being her job. But I was not expecting it to be so explicit and so descriptive so frequently. So thank you, continuous scroll and tiny fonts. I think that's pretty much what saved me from being embarrassed. Also, angling my phone away from my nail lady. One thing that's interesting with the world building, it's kind of hard to tell. So there's lots of like other creatures that are going on. There's vampires and centaurs and moth people and herpes.
Did I just say herpes? I definitely meant harpies. Pass me, ma'am, you're fired.
And all sorts of stuff. I can't really tell though right now, and this might be because I was scrolling so quickly, scrolling to save my life. I can't tell if that is unique to this area or if this is something that's kind of just like happening in this world in general. I don't know if that's a book thing or a me thing, so take that with a grain of salt. We have met the Minotaur of the hour. Nothing notable yet, just that he's taken an interest in her pretty much from the first session, shall we say. He wasn't like over the top or explicit or anything, but just exhibited some behaviors that suggest to her that she's like doing a good job. You know what I'm saying? Outside of that, I wasn't expecting to relate to the main character so much, and I apologize, I don't really remember her name. She is taking on this job because she is dealing with a lot of student loan debt, and she was talking about how she took this job because she can't find something in her field because she got her bachelor's degree, and then when she got her bachelor's degree, they're like, oh, actually, you need a master's to be in this field. So then she went and got the master's, and then not only was there not any jobs, she's like overqualified for all of them, and I was like, ugh. Hard relate. Ugh, that was painful. So I think that like immediately just gave me like additional buy-in because I was like, ooh, would this be me? It does make you think. But essentially she's just racked up a ton of credit card debt on top of that. And so she's just like, I just need money. Like I need money. She's really trying to convince herself that it's not sex work. I don't know. It's just interesting how desperate she is to really like make it seem more clinical, especially considering like how responsive she is to these sessions in general. Well, with this one Minotaur in particular. Those are my current thoughts. I might switch to the audiobook so I can continue like reading while I'm working out, and I will update you when there is something of note to update you on.
Oh, surprise, I'm back. I forgot to mention that whole time I'm about 40% in. You're welcome. Okay, bye.
Hi, good morning. So I was able to finish Morning Glory Milking Farm. So that's a thing that I have read in my life at this point. I will say, last I updated you was at the 40% mark. And I would say after that, which I think was like the end of part 2, it really moved away quite a bit from her job, focused more on personal relationships, stuff outside of work, the relationship with our Minotaur man. I did confirm that intermingling is odd for this world. Primarily, people are in like human or orc or whatever types of settlements. So that was unique to that area. It did offer some commentary on like student loans and race and sex work, but it was pretty obvious. Like there wasn't any like reading between the lines. So it was nice that it was included, but it wasn't done like the best. There's that. The relationship with the Minotaur I thought was fine. It was sweet. It was very consent filled and supportive, but there was just like no chemistry. If I look on paper, I understand why they might like each other, but I didn't really like feel it. And I think the primary way we're supposed to be feeling the chemistry is through spicy daydreams that our gal was having, which just made it feel more spice heavy in general than it actually was because we were constantly having these daydreams. But I just found that it hit all my ick words. So when I'm kind of looking at everything, I was like, I don't love anything, but I didn't hate anything. So I'm like, I think I'd consider this a win, I guess. So that's where I'm landing for Morning Glory Milking Farm. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's very middle of the road. I'm a little surprised like how popular it is, but then maybe that's the commentary that's kind of carrying it. I don't know. If you love that book, let me know what about it you like so much. Is it the relationship? Like, I'm curious as to why it's so popular with so many people. Moving on, I'm going to read The Dragon's Bride. This is by Katie Robert. I'm feeling particularly encouraged by this one because I've read Katie Robert before. I really enjoy her Dark Olympus series, and Katie Robert's just like a cool human in general. So I'm hoping that this also has like a fun sort of like clinch historical feel. So I'm vibing with these monster covers. I will update you when I know what this book is about. Hello, 'tis I. I am 30% in now to The Dragon's Bride, and I want to give you a bit of an update on what this book is about and also how it's going. So the basic premise of this is that Briar is or was in an abusive marriage, and in order to escape it, she ends up making a contract with a demon. And in this contract, it basically says for 7 like demon years, which is like magic-y years that basically equate to maybe a couple months of her real life, but she has to spend 7 years with someone. And if there's any kiddos that are resulting from it, they have to stay back in Magic Land. So she ends up being auctioned off to this dragon named Soul. And so far, they have gotten married because the culture is very conservative, and so he needs to so they need to be married. And it sounds like humans and dragons used to pass through a little bit more frequently, and so humans are kind of like a hot commodity that they need for something, which hasn't been totally like outlined just yet. But right now they're just like sort of getting to know each other. And Dragon Dude doesn't really love that she was abused, and he's real upset about it. So far, it's going well. It's, let's say, less horny than the previous one, which I like. But other than that, I'm not having a ton of strong feelings about this book just yet. That's where things are at. Kind of a soft update. It's more just like what's going on. But so far, so good. I have to record a video today, and then I have a tattoo appointment. So I might see if my library has the audiobook for this so I can listen to it during my tattoo appointment. But hi, so it's actually been a couple days, but I have finished The Dragon's Bride. I took a little bit of a break because I took a hiking trip to Forks, Washington with my husband for our anniversary, which was very fun because we got to hit up a bunch of twilighty things in addition to seeing a rainforest and enjoy the lovely rugged coast of Washington. I posted a little bit about it on my Instagram if you're curious about it. That's where I actually got this like super awesome sweatshirt. I just think it's so cool. But anyway, that's not what you're here for, are you? You're here for a wrap up of the Dragon's Bread. So I think that this one was definitely on an upward trajectory for me. And it revealed an assumption that I had about the genre, which is that it was going to lean more into like animalistic tendencies in the bedroom, like more primal play, I can't control myself types of things. And this, I think, leaned a little bit more into that, which I think is partially why I enjoyed it more. It was also dual POV, which I think I'm learning that I just prefer dual POV overall. So I think that that helped with my enjoyment as well, because I think that that really aided in the world building. So we didn't have to learn everything through the new gal's perspective. We can learn through someone who's already been existing in this world. That said, I did feel like the world building was lacking a little bit, but that's more of just like a heads up if you're planning to read this. For me, it didn't bug me just because I know that it's not Katie Roberts' strong suit. There's usually like a little bit of like question mark with her world building for me personally. But overall, I would say this kind of read a little bit like more of a historical-esque fantasy. It was pretty sweet. It was a lot of her just processing her trauma and grief over the relationship that she had, and also learning to stand up for herself and what she wants, both in the relationship and just in general. All that said, I don't think that this is anything particularly special in my opinion. So I think where I'm landing for a rating is 3.5. We're on an upward trajectory. I liked this better than Morning Glory, but not quite scratching the itch. I feel like this genre maybe could though. So I'm hopeful that the next one will maybe get me there. That one is going to be Triathlons and Tentacles, or Tentacles and Triathlons. I can't remember which. But I'm going to take a short break from this. So I'm going to take a couple days off and just make sure that like a general reading mood I'm in isn't influencing it. I just want to double check because I feel like I can like this genre, but so far I'm not loving any of the books. So I'm like, I want to give this last one best shot it can possibly have at succeeding. So I will see you in a couple days and let you know what Tentacles and Triathlons and Tentacles is about. Hi, so I have started reading, oh my gosh, I almost like super mispronounced this name, Tentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett. So sorry about filming in the same spot twice. It's just like the only spot in my house that has any light right now. It is storming so bad. Welcome to Seattle. So I don't have a ton of options, but I did just want to let you know what this book is about. So this is a second book in a series called Leviathan Fitness. And it's about Reese, who had a childhood incident that has made him very fearful of monsters. Monsters have sort of recently been integrated. They used to be kind of like more underground, but they're now integrated into society. And he is kind of struggling with it because he had that bad incident. But he is forced to befriend Cyrus, who is a Kraken, because he needs help with the swimming component of his triathlon training. And Cyrus and him actually met earlier at a party that was hosted by Reese's sister and Cyrus's friend, because those two are together. I guess they were the first book because, why would I read things in order? That would just make sense. So the beginning scene is actually what happened to Reese that made him fearful of monsters. And it was a lot like spookier than I was expecting, but the rest of it's pretty sweet. It's more in line with what you would expect from a book with a cover like this. It is male, so changing things up a little bit. All that to say, so far I'm having a good time with it. There's some longing going on already, which I think is quite sweet. I think there might be like a fated mates element because Cyrus seems to have this like special tentacle that can tell him if someone's his mate, and he's like this rare Kraken. There's not that many. He's excited, but obviously Reese being afraid of monsters causes some problems. Like I said, it's just really sweet. You have a lot of sympathy for both of the characters. They're both kind of struggling. Cyrus is having some issues getting inspiration for painting, and Reese is just kind of struggling with this monster integration and being supportive of his sister. And so far, so good. I'm about 25% in. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the one. I'm feeling good about it. I will see you soon, hopefully with better lighting, just different lighting, a different location. Literally anything that's not here. Hi. So once again, weird lighting because Seattle. But I'm about 45% into Tentacles and Triathlons, and it's still going really well, which is exciting. So our two main love interests here, our two main male characters, they are spending a lot more time together because now they're like officially training with one another. I will say that there's a lot of like fantasizing about the other person that I'm like not super big fan of. I don't know. I just always see that and I'm kind of like, doesn't really contribute to the story, doesn't actually contribute to the relationship. So I'm just kind of like bored during those sections. So I don't really like that part. But aside from that, I do like the kind of like banter they have going back and forth because Cyrus knows that Reese is very skittish around monsters still and is like trying, but still new territory for him. And so he'll kind of like poke fun at him a little bit and it just kind of like gets him flustered. So it just has kind of made for some fun banter. Two things that I thought were kind of funny. One, they do make reference to a certain category of porn, which I thought was pretty funny. I didn't think that they would like so boldly call that out. And then also at one point, I think it was Reese invited Cyrus to get sushi. And then he was like, oh my gosh, that's so insensitive. Like, you're a sea creature. How insensitive of me to invite you to eat fish. And he's like, you do realize like fish eat fish all the time. And I was like, oh. So I just thought that was kind of cute. So overall, it's going very well. Like the other two, it's very sweet. So it's not leaning into that more like animalistic side. But anyway, I am all dressed up, so I'm gonna go do some wine tasting with my friends. They have a membership at a winery and they are doing a Cab Sauv release and I'm so excited. So I'm gonna go do that. I don't think I'll get to any more reading of this particular book. I'm reading like 4 books right now. So like I'm making choices and being the moodiest of readers, but I probably will update you maybe tomorrow. And I'm hoping that I can maybe finish it. That feels ambitious. We'll see.
So I finished Tentacles and Triathlons by Ashley Bennett. I've been a busy gal, so I haven't had a chance to update you. So I had the wine tasting yesterday with my friends. It was very delicious. My friends were so nice. They bought me a bottle, which is very sweet. So I didn't, and then we ended up going out for dinner afterwards. So I read a little bit that day, but I didn't get to update you. Then yesterday, I had a hair appointment to trim my hair, and then I need to re-up the purple now that my hair is like in a slightly better spot. I got quite a few inches taken off. I don't know if you can tell. Probably not because the ends were so scraggly. They were almost non-existent, but it looks a lot better now. I actually just filmed another video and then took a nap and now I'm updating you real quick. Ooh, it is raining hard. Hopefully I can edit that out. Sorry if you can hear that. It's just been raining like nonstop. Anyway, you don't care about that. You don't care about that. You care about the books. Okay, so when I last updated you, I said that there's a couple of funny things and things were really going well. And I'll say that in general, I felt like this book just went down really well. It went down really smooth. There wasn't any major things where I was like, oh, that really bugged me. Other than, I think that like the third act, you know how there's usually a breakup or conflict or something that needs to kind of get like resolved before we can kind of get our happily ever after. I just felt like that component was maybe missing a little bit. So the kind of main thing that they were struggling with was the fact that Reese wasn't really willing to be out there just yet as being in a relationship with someone that's a monster, just because he doesn't have the best track record in general with how he's treated monsters in the past, and people know he's very fearful. And I think there must have been something that happened in that like first book in the series that like kind of caused that. There were some warnings issued to our Kraken boy. But oh, that's funny that I'm wearing this then for the wrap up. Anyway, I'm all over the place. I'm very tired. But there wasn't really, like in that last like portion, there wasn't really any moment of people being like, oh, I can't believe that you guys are together, or I think this is a bad idea, or Reese maybe not being ready. Everything was very like loving and understanding. And then Reese just at the perfect moment was just like, we're together. And it just felt like there was kind of this soft slide into the happily ever after. And I just wanted like a little bit more tension or something before everything kind of came to a close. So that's my biggest critique, my biggest gripe with this, but overall it was good. I'm giving this book 4 stars. I had a good time with it. So it's kind of fun because this blog really had like an upward trajectory. The more I got into it, the more I just kind of like appreciated it. But one thing that I'll say is there is not as much of that kind of like animalistic feel that I thought I was gonna maybe get from this genre. It tends to be very sweet.
And this is how you know I was very tired. I completely forgot the point I was trying to make, which was that the monsters are very sweet and it almost juxtaposes how bad people are in relationships and how poorly previous partners have been to the people in the relationships. That's all I was trying to say. All right, back to it.
And I honestly, okay, I found out I accidentally lied to you. So I have read from this genre before. It's just been so long ago that I completely forgot. I read Radiance by Grace Draven and really loved it. So I know I'm capable of really loving the genre. And I think this last one kind of confirmed that. But it is different than what I think I went into it in what I was kind of expecting to get from this genre. Do I think it's like an all-time favorite genre? No, but I think that this is like a fun one to potentially dip into during like spooky season. There is one in particular, and I can't think of the name of it, but I'm gonna put the cover up here. When I was on another rating sprint with Nikki, someone brought up that they were reading this, and I was like, that cover looks so good. So I'll probably dip my toes further into this genre. With that, thank you so much for being here. I apologize that my energy is so low right now. I've been living life in the fast lane for the past like 2 months. It's not slowing down and it's really starting to catch up with me. So hence the exhausted energy that you're getting here. I appreciate you all for being here, sticking through till the end. Y'all are my favorites. Let me know if you've read any of these. Let me know if you have monster recommendations, what you think of the books that I read. Do you have a different opinion? I love a different opinion, so if you've got one. But yeah, let me know if there's any monster romances that you would recommend. Maybe ones that get more into like the more like animalistic, like if I can't have you, no one can kind of vibes. I'd be down for that. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want more content from me, and I hope I see you on my next video. Bye!